God, brother. Hello, everybody and nobody, to the commentary of the Japanese Grand Prix 2025. Exciting race, exciting race. Really, really good one. I mean, you might notice Simons is not here because actually he called us. He's got stuck in Japan because he was so blown away by how exciting the race was and decided to spend more days there and try to I don't know, probably chisel pieces of the asphalt, from the track to get as a memory of the amazing race which was. But we have Lucky here anyway, so
good evening.
Lucky.
Thank you.
There you go. So I would say, without much further ado, I will describe the race as it happened. And yeah, we got Aiba Belvis. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. I mean, nice for you to be here. So anyway, the race. Yeah, what?
I'm just saying hello to Bob.
Oh, okay, yeah. So yeah, the race. The car, slowly approached, the starting line after, kind of a interesting qualifying. To be fair, I mean, the qualifying were quite good. We had some things, not bad. But anyway, the main race, this is where the only excitement was. All the cars, approaching the line. The red lights go on and they go out and they start. And 53 laps later, they arrive exactly the same position. What a fucking boring race. That's all the commentary for the race. Roll the credit. Goodbye. See you next week.
Indeed.
Yeah. So, what you have to say about the race?
Well, there wasn't much going on, was there? I mean, apart from the surprise of Verstappen on pole in qualifying, I mean, that was dull. The rest of them all just lined up the way that they had done. And the race itself, as you've described it, I mean, they started and they finished. And apart from the fact that they were moving in between, it was dull. It was dull. I mean, what about driver? Can we start driver of the day? I think the driver of the day is going to have to be Verstappen. He surprised us all. He didn't have the fastest car. He led from start to finish.
Yeah.
You go with that?
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah, I think it's only fair. I mean, it's Verstappen,
Yes.
but I mean, he showed them a clean pair of heels. And what I said, was not the quickest car of the day. Hey, captive.
Yes. And Sandy too. Sandy, we haven't done nothing to Simons. He decided to remain in Japan for a little bit because he was so blown away by how much good the race was, which wasn't. And he decided to stay a bit in Japan. But everything is hunky-dory in Simons land.
It is indeed.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, so what did McLaren do wrong? Or what did the two McLaren drivers do wrong, do you think?
We're getting there already. Yeah. Well, I mean, just a step back from your question. I mean, honestly, somebody tried to do something different. Hamilton started with a wide tire, and there was somebody else, I think, that started with a soft tire. I mean, just to spice things up. It didn't happen. I think that Suzuka is such a really, really, really good circuit to drive. as much as it's boring to have races on, because it's really hard to overtake. But anyway, so you were asking about McLaren. I think
Yes.
that I think that so there are two things right now. The first one is, I don't know if you're known, but there was some big news about Lando Norris. Apparently, he has acquired an Irish citizenship and he has changed his name. His name is now Bland O. Norris. And and that basically describes his race. Piastri was a little bit faster, but they decided not to spice things up. God forbid they, the two guys just get mad at each other. I think that McLaren right now, the car, is better than the drivers in the same way that Verstappen is better than his car.
That sounds fair. Yeah, that does sound fair. I mean, they obviously, the two McLaren guys obviously had a faster car, but yet they made no impression on Verstappen in the slightest. So, is it a mistake from McLaren, or is it a mistake from the two drivers? You just think the two drivers are just not up to the job?
I don't know. I think so. I think first of all that Verstappen, which at the end of the race was probably it was a bit cocky, in saying that if he had that other car, it would have won. It would have been in Tokyo, by the end of the race. And when he meant the other car, he meant the McLaren. So I think that I don't know how much more they could have done, McLaren, because Max on Sunday was really driving, was making it was another sport. It was that good on a car which wasn't that good, but on a circuit where it's really, really hard, if not close to impossible, to overtake. So I don't know how much more they could have done. Yeah, maybe a little bit of tactic here and there, but again, even the the undercut was not that good, in that track. So yeah, it was a pace race.
Okay, well, what about the man that had the only unique strategy in the sort of top 15, which was Hamilton? Went out in the hard tires, took a gamble on that, but didn't really do much good for him, did it?
Well, I think they tried. They tried a little bit. Well, anyway, to be fair, he got one position, so
okay.
It wasn't. It worked a little bit. I think it was just a gamble that they wanted to take. They knew. I think was what, 7th on the grid, if I'm not mistaken. They tried to do something like, they know the Ferrari, it's a little bit better without the tires, so to say, and it's very difficult to overtake. So I think that his rationale was, fuck it, I'm gonna run with the other tires, and then I will have, the last stint with the medium tires with less fuel, lighter car, and might be able to, to have a better pace, kind of like the way when he won the sprint race, with a lighter car and kind of.
Yeah,
but it didn't work out, for because the setup, of course, wasn't the same, and also because there was a fantastic Kimi Antonelli, which just had no way it just boom, it just went. The tires also, there was not too much degradation, so yeah. But Belvis asked a question. You want to answer that?
Qualifying source the cars out to minute.
So Babelvis asked, qualifying source the cars out to minimize overtaking during the race. So I say do away with qualifying. What do you think, Lucky?
Well, originally qualifying came from Monaco because people couldn't pass at Monaco. That's where the qualifying actually came from. Yeah. So it's difficult to say. You can start mixing a field up by swapping the qualifying over as they've done in some other formulas. But fast cars mixed with slow cars is never a good idea, especially when there's faster cars coming up behind you as well. You've got to watch out for accidents. And as we all know, Formula One drivers and race drivers in general are short of a couple of screws. So I think qualifying is going to have to stay.
Well, I mean, yeah, I agree. I mean, I understand, about Melvin's point, say, well, you mix up things, stuff like that, at least the race is going to be more interesting. Max Verstappen starts 20th. You could see some overtakes, which is, again, it is true, but there is also the fact that, first of all, already from the beginning who's going to overtake who, first of all. And second of all, it becomes a little bit, difficult because, like in tracks like Suzuka or, I mean, God forbid, Monte Carlo, where it's basically impossible to pass. What I mean, you draw a lottery for the positions on the grid, and then there are teams like Ferrari and McLaren and Mercedes. We spend huge amount of money compared to, I don't know, Sauber. You put Sauber in front, and they just win the Monte Carlo race with a fraction of the money. I mean, I don't know, the sponsor are not going to be happy. I mean, it gets a little bit more complicated than that. And then again, there is the problem of the championship. It becomes way more of a gamble. That
you'll also get the issue of people or teams rather pulling in cars really early, so that they're left with free air and they'll be going around the circuit on their own a lot. I mean, if I was in a sim race with reversed grids, that was one of the things I did. Take my pit stop as early as possible, and you can get out in free air, and that defeats the whole point of overtaking. So,
yeah.
Simon says, I think Max.
That was from Japan. From Japan, I think Max Verstappen should start from Holland. Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
There he is.
Might be.
Okay, so what about Leclerc? Leclerc just did his usual thing. He got his head down and he just kept going and got himself into, what was it, fourth at the end, fifth at the end?
Oh, same position as he
fourth.
started. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
The three cars, the first three cars were fairly close together, within three or 4 seconds. And then cars 4, 5, 6, that was Leclerc, Russell, and Antonelli. They were also within 3 seconds of each other, and it was just like two different processions going around, the first three and the second three. And God, it was boring. Who else have we got to talk to? Well, we'll talk about the guy that was in.
Sorry. Before you go on, because you mentioned Antonelli, I mean, I think that there is something to be said about the guy. He is now the youngest driver ever to lead a Grand Prix.
That's correct.
He's younger now. He's younger now than Verstappen was when he did that. He will not be the youngest driver to win a Grand Prix. That was his last chance because now he's going to be older than when Verstappen won the Grand Prix. So yeah, there is that. But he is the youngest driver to ever lead the Grand Prix, and he also made the fastest lap.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Yeah, fastest lap as well. So 2 records for him.
Yeah.
Another stat we can talk about while we're here is Leclerc. That was his 150th start in Grand Prix racing. Yeah. So he's a veteran now, if ever there was one.
Yeah.
Okay, well, as I said, I was going to mention my man, or our man, rather. And that's...
Well, no, your man. Don't confuse me with... Yeah, it's your man. Let's be super clear right now. Your man, go.
Hajar.
Well, definitely your man.
No.
It is.
Listen,
it is.
The last show or the last couple of shows, we were talking about how Helmut Marko had been calling Hajar an embarrassment after his crying performance. However, he finished 8th in the race after qualifying 7th. Mm-hmm. Now, Lawson's replacement in the proper Red Bull team, Tsunoda.
Yeah.
Where did he finish? He finished 15th.
Yeah.
So Tsunoda, the man who's supposed to be up
Only
for
marginally better than Lawson, by the way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, what's Helmut thinking now of Hajar? Putting a performance that was as close to Verstappen, or closer to Verstappen than the other two could manage, by a long way. So,
well, I think so. Two things. First one, I think that when Ajar, went by to the start-finish line, I think he was giving the finger to Marco, just passing by. I think. I'm not sure. I should rewatch the race, which I don't want to, but I think. The other thing, Babel says, I think Yuki did good for his first race in the Red Bull, which is, I think it's a fair point. Even if we're joking that he just finished marginally better than Lawson, it was still his first race on that car, and it's notoriously a difficult car for second drivers because I don't think the Red Bull right now, especially this year, it's a very good car. Because again, so either all the second drivers in Red Bull, and they had ever since Verstappen stepped in, they're all bums, which I don't think they are. Perez was a good driver. He used to be a good driver. Tsunoda is a good driver. So, or Verstappen is so far out on that car and his driving side that it's really hard.
It does seem to be odd that driver after driver after driver is second teammate to Verstappen, and none of them can perform even remotely like he did. We saw some glimpses of Perez earlier last year and the occasional good drive the year before, but he was never on the pace regularly like Verstappen was.
I think that Red Bull has invested, well, first of all, they have invested a lot in Verstappen. So if there is a request for the two drivers and they go in the opposite direction, they're going to follow Verstappen, as they should, because,
that seems to be the case.
It's there. The results are there. That's not even up for debate. The second thing is that so the car has become progressively more Verstappen oriented rather than a neutral car or something that other people can easily adapt. I think it was Albon, that said that the way that car drives is really, really, really scary. It turns so fast that you have to get used to turn so late in the corner and have complete faith in the car that apparently only Max manages to, because he wants to drive that way, so he managed to drive the car that way. And for the others, it's really difficult because it requires a high degree of confidence that honestly it's really, really hard to achieve at the beginning. So going back to the point about Belby, I think we've got to give the guy a little bit more time to see if it's really better than his predecessors in Red Bull. But yeah.
So can you explain to us and chat the way Max drives and how he takes this very late entry into the corner, and how it's different from other people?
So the general consensus on the paddock is that I'm refusing to read that one, by the way, and even the Turkish man, because I have no idea what he meant. But the general consensus of the paddock is that Verstappen wants a car which is really firm on the front, because yes, he is very late braking and very late entering in the corner. So, and he needs a very stable front. Which is so which is the opposite of having a less scary car. Usually, a less scary car is a car which understeers a,
Mhm.
a little bit, because it understeers. You can save it a little bit better, and it's really hard, for something really bad to happen, compared to a firm car which snaps, with a sudden oversteer.
Yeah.
Because if you oversteer, you're basically fucked, right? So
The traditional line that most drivers will take is to shallow out the corner as much as possible, and Verstappen doesn't do that. He, as you said, he brakes late and he takes a late entry into the corner with a really pointy front end, and then he's basically blasting the car out at a different angle to the other drivers. It's a strange way of driving, but it certainly seems to work very well for him.
it works for him. Yeah, it totally works for him.
But the same car taking the more traditional lines doesn't work as well.
Well, the thing is that the second driver has to set up his mind on braking probably, I don't know, 10 meters later than he used to, and turn the car way sharper than he used to, and have absolute faith that the front will actually react the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And this is really, I mean, it's a really difficult mindset to adjust to. So
oh yes, it's definitely different kind of driving style. It's very different from what we saw in the early days of motor racing. Okay, so who else are we going to talk about? I feel we must mention the man who came last in the race. What a twat! Lance Stroll.
Oh yeah.
Mike Crack says, Lance Stroll, what a twat. I've noticed that now that there's the Adrian Newey figure at Aston Martin, Lance Stroll seems to have gone very quiet. Now, in the past, the teams that Adrian Newey has been involved with, he has always had as part of his contract a clause which gives him say about who drives for the team and who doesn't drive for the team. Do you think that maybe is affecting Lance Stroll's bad lad attitude? Because it's not just if it is the case that Newey has a say in drivers, then it's not Lance's daddy that's controlling things anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point. I mean, Newey, which is one of the reasons why he didn't came to Ferrari. Newey wanted some. I think he wants some shares in the team and also a seat at the board, whatever.
Right. Yeah.
Also, there is the fact. I think I read some piece of news this week that Daddy Stroll had to sell some shares of the team also, or he sold some shares. So his position in the team, well, I mean, he still got the majority. So if he wants, he can still call the team Stroll Limited and fuck everybody else. But he has way less wiggle room, in those kind of decisions. So yeah, I mean, it might be the case. It might be the case.
I think that having Newey on board might make a difference to Lance Stroll's attitude, but we'll see. Only time will tell. Samus is saying Honda have said they will have a say in 2026 on drivers, but the team have the final say. Is that for who? Sorry.
I think Aston Martin is Aston Martin going to run with Honda engines? Yeah. So,
right.
Okay. Yeah. Fair enough.
This was their final Japanese Grand Prix. With Red Bull, not with Red Bull. Sorry. What is it? Their final Grand Prix?
No. With Red Bull. Red Bull is going to run Ford engines, or collaboration of Ford and Red Bull engineering engines next year.
Right.
So yeah.
So this would be their last Japanese Grand Prix with Red Bull. Okay,
For Red Bull. Yeah.
that's why they had the strange white and black color scheme.
Oh, which, by the way, I don't know if you noticed, it wasn't a paint scheme. It was vinyl over the paint scheme. So,
right,
which was, I mean, which is really cool if you think about. I mean, if you remember last year, there were some cars which were racing without the paint in order to save weight, to meet the minimum weight. And this year, Red Bull, well, they race with basically two coats, two different paint jobs. Where one was vinyl and underneath it was a paint job. So yeah.
Okay, Samus is saying someone thinks Max and Yuki could have the driver lineup could be the driver lineup rather at Aston in 2026. Well,
see, we did good to live in Japan, so he's giving us all this news directly from all the corporations. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that.
Well, Yuki would be a choice, obviously, being a Japanese driver.
Yeah.
But Max at Aston Martin, that would mean getting rid of Alonso, who's already contracted for 2026, and Stroll, who's contracted for 2026. So it would be a major kind of change. And again, would Newey want to be working with Max? I mean, he's just left Max at Red Bull. Do you think he wants Max back? I'm not sure about that.
Oh, I think that Newey will take Max. Yeah.
Think?
I don't think he had issues with Max, to be fair. And also, it's going to be different, if he goes in Aston, mostly because, I mean, in Red Bull, he was, a top engineer and whatever, blah, 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 blah. In Aston would be partially owner of the team. So, basically what I'm saying is that if there are some issues with anybody from the Verstappen family, he has way much more authority to tell his father to just fuck off and die, but basically. So yeah.
Okay. So I'm desperately thinking of something interesting to talk about during the race, but to be honest, it was just so dull. There was one. Who was it? There was Saints and somebody else had a bit of a first lap side by side for most of the lap, ding dong, but that just ended fairly quickly, and it went back to procession.
Actually, I think the most exciting thing happened in free practice. What was 2 or 3 when Lawson decided that. I mean, thinking about it just makes me laugh and shiver, because he saw that he could take corner number 1 with the DRS on the simulator. He decided, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna do it. So he took corner 1 with the DRS open, in the car, and he totally destroyed the car. I mean, it's good for him. The only reason I'm laughing is because, he didn't get hurt, right? I mean, at least physically. Mentally, I think he did. And probably physically by some mechanic. When I think that when somebody heard his explanation about it, he might have gotten hurt, in a way or another. Yeah, I was mental.
One thing that does prove is that simulators don't simulate, not quite as well as people might think.
So that reminds me, I think I already said this story, I don't know if this year or last year, the one with that Pironi was saying about Villeneuve.
Yeah.
Do you remember that story? You want me to repeat? Or
go for it? Yeah, Spa.
I don't know if it was Spa. I think it was another track, but regardless. So basically, after the qualifying, Villeneuve goes to Pironi and that was to Arnoux, not Pirelli, Arnoux, and that was the same year when they had the battle at Dijon, and he went there and he said, I think I can take that corner in like fifth gear, full throttle. And Arnaud said, yeah, I don't know. I don't think, no, I lift on that corner. And Villeneuve said, no, I think I can make it. I said, okay, yeah, I can make it. And then, the practices, whatever, the session starts and Arnaud makes the rounds and he gets to the, and he gets to the corner and you saw Villeneuve car completely smashed on the side of the track, totally destroyed. And so he finishes the lap, he gets back to the pit, and he goes to find Villeneuve. And Villeneuve, look at him and says, can't make it full throttle. So, oh yeah, there was that. So, yeah.
Okay,
anyway.
So the back of the grid, the tail end of the field. By the way, this was another race where all the cars finished. Stroll, as I said, was in last place and one lap down, but still everything was going
you're right.
at the end of the race, which is nice to see.
Probably it's older. Yeah, I don't know. Samuel says probably it's old. Yeah, maybe it was older. I mean, I can't remember the track, but that happened. That happened the way I described totally. I remember the story, but not the track.
I can't remember. Zolder's where I don't think it was Zolder, but anyway, the back of the grid. It was again. It was just a procession. It was cars going wrong behind each other. All within a few seconds, and totally dull. To be honest.
Yeah. I mean, we have already established that was a boring race. I think that is, anyway you look at it, from the back, midfield, that was it was bloody boring.
Yeah. Okay. And there's absolutely no news in Formula One either at the moment. It's just so dull.
Yeah, I mean, the only piece of news is probably going to happen in Bahrain. Ferrari is going to bring a new. I think they were supposed to bring a floor in Japan. I'm not really sure they did. Well, I'm quite positive they didn't, and it's going to be in Bahrain. There have been the usual rumors about the wing flexing of McLaren, whatever. Even if I think so, I might be totally wrong here, but I think that right now it's not a problem of the wing flexing. To me, it seems to be that it's the old pillion which is flexing. If you get what I mean, So yeah. It's the pillion where the wing is attached, which is flexing, and it's not as it used to happen, the wing which was going down. So yeah.
Okay, well, there's one piece of Formula One news that you can comment on more than the rest of us, I think. Look, Leclerc seems to be a bit unhappy with the way the Ferrari team is, as he has said it, hanging on every word that Lewis Hamilton's been saying, and he's kind of talking about going his own way. Quote, as far as things are with the car and the engineering side. Have you heard anything about that?
Not really. What you're talking about? What do you mean?
Well, I'm looking at F1 Planet at the moment. The headline reads: Charles Leclerc has told Ferrari that he will go his quote own way with the SF25 and no longer be guided by Lewis Hamilton's side of the garage.
Oh no! Well, so listen, I think I don't know what they get those news from, and I honestly don't know if that's the case. So I think the situation in Ferrari is the same one that we've been saying in the previous races.
This comes from an Italian publication called Corriere dello Sport.
Yeah. again,
Is this just
I don't really know. So the thing is, so here's the thing, that car uh is mental. I do not understand the project. I probably said it, last week also. I do not understand the project. If you look at, last year, uh, from September, I think, Leclerc was the guy which made more points than anybody else. So they ended the season with a car which was good. It wasn't probably McLaren good, but it was really, really good. It was better than Red Bull, better than
winning
Mercedes,
races?
yeah. So the thing which is driving me crazy is that they decided to pick that project, basically throw it away and start from, well, almost from scratch, which it's something which is, to me, it's incomprehensible. I mean, you got a good basis, you develop it a little bit, and you make the new car. No. You had a very good car, one of the best car at the end of the season, and then you make another one, and now you don't know how the car behaves. It's got balancing problems. So that is the thing which drives me crazy. As far as Leclerc says, I don't know what they're going to do. I think that the problem is not something that he can decide. I don't think that he will solve the problem by making different setups from Lewis. I don't think that is the case. I think that the problem is in the car, in the balance of the car, and if there is something which is going to get better, is because of the development that they're going to bring. That is the only solution, because the car is not a genuine car. It's you go from oversteer to understeer, and you don't know when it happens. You have got to ride too high, because if you ride it low, it works, but it's too low and it scratches, and the plank doesn't work. So it's mental. So maybe Leclerc said that, but I don't think that it's that is going to be the case. It's going to save anything. What I really hope, sorry, and I stop. What I really hope is that one of the reasons they wanted Hamilton is because of his experience. So what I really wish for is that Hamilton really starts banging the fist on the table and said, listen, if you want to make a fast car, this is how it has to behave, and this is what you have to do, and that's it. Because it would be stupid to have a guy which has won 7 world championships, so he knows a little bit of things about cars. Don't forget, he's the only one. I mean, he already won something this year, right? So it's not that he has totally forgot how to drive a fast car. He has to put himself on the team and say, listen, this is the direction you have to go. We have to have a car which behaves like this, not like this. Forget what you think. I know better than you, because I've trashed all you drivers with the cars that I drove. This is how you have to do. So you need somebody which just goes there and starts punching fists on the table.
Okay. That I do feel sorry for Leclerc in a way. He was the guy that was there first. He's been winning for Ferrari for what, 5-6 years now, and somebody comes in and kind of usurps him. It's a difficult position he's in, I would say. And even I mean, what racing drivers are like. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're at the last row at the back, you still think you're better than the guy that won.
Of course you do. I mean, but I don't think that Leclerc, feels that way about Lewis. I don't think he does. Leclerc is trying to act as a first driver, and he's totally legitimate in doing so. I mean, it wouldn't be an F1 driver if he didn't think he's better than the other guy. So that's it. Right. Yeah. But at the end of the day, I mean, the company has to make a decision and follow, a direction and something. And now you've spent a huge amount of money in taking Lewis. You gotta use Lewis. Okay. There is no way around. because if
Yeah,
not, it's a waste of money, because you
yeah.
don't have a fast car to give to Lewis, to win his 8th World Championship. You took Lewis because you want to build a car in order for him to win, the championship, or Leclerc or whatever. I mean, but to win, and yeah, that's the way.
Yeah.
But sorry, before you go, there are a couple of points, and because I'm going to forget, because Bob Elvis wrote something a little bit ago. It said, "I hope Red Bull will not wait so long to make their own flex wing." Actually, there is a technical directive which is going to enter in I think in 2 or 3 races. I don't remember from which race that. Oh, Imola. Yeah, it's right, Imola. That is going to limit a lot the way that they measure, the wings, the flexibility of the wing. So it's rather more that McLaren will stop to use their wings rather than Red Bull or somebody else, start making their own flex wing, if you get what I mean. So they're going to stop the others, so the other ones do not have to catch up. The other thing I want to say briefly, because it's something that is close to my heart. If we are really lucky, and there is some irony there, if you're really lucky, we might have another Tilke circuit in South Africa. And that would be the day that I would probably kill myself, because I can't stand another Tilke circuit, So, yeah, so that's it. I have to say, because, when I saw the news, I said, Jesus, another one. Yeah.
Okay. One thing we're definitely going to have to talk about is the incident at the end of the pit lane. Now, before I get your opinion on this, if I had been in the same position as Lando Norris, and I'd done what Lando Norris had done when I was doing a sim race, the first thing I would be thinking is, I hope nobody recorded that, because I was just an idiot. But Lando Norris's first reaction was, "Oh, tell teacher, he pushed me off onto the grass. I was alongside. Oh, tell teacher, tell teacher." I mean, come on. That was ridiculous. He totally ballsed it up, and he totally ballsed that up and tried to blame it on Verstappen. However, I did notice at the end of the race, he kind of came clean. Yeah. But at the time, it was, "Oh, tell teacher, he did this to me. Oh, no." What do you think?
I think that, you said at the beginning, you said, well, if you do it, I would wish, that nobody was recording that.
Yeah.
And then Lando made sure that not only it was recorded, but he wanted to make sure that everybody knew that is an idiot, because that was totally stupid.
Yeah, that was. He just had no chance, and he was pointing.
And it was wrong, and it was also wrong.
Absolutely.
I mean, I think he got lucky that they give him him or the team a penalty for unsafe release.
Yeah. Anyway, okay. So what else happened in that race?
Nothing. Let's go to the quiz.
Let's go to the quiz.
Let's see if for once that Simons is stuck in Japan, we managed to do it in less than 1 hour. It's 45 minutes. Let's go for the quiz. Let's show Simons how things are done. Go.
Okay, fair enough. Have we got time for 2 questions? Let's go for the first question, and then we'll see how much time we've got. So this week's quiz for Smart Arse of the Day award is this. Jenson Button did this thing in China 2011. And then Lewis Hamilton did exactly the same thing in Malaysia 2013. What was this thing that they both did? Okay, Simon, you win.
Yeah. No, you totally win. You totally win. Yeah.
So, as I said, this happened
Yeah.
during races. It wasn't something that happened in practice or off track or anything like that. This is actually something that both drivers did during the races.
Yeah.
As I said, Button was the first to do it. Stop looking. Stop looking. Stop looking.
No, I'm not. Listen, those are my hands. I'm not playing anything. So yeah.
And then Hamilton in 2013, he did exactly the same thing. I'll give you a bit of a clue. When Hamilton did it, it was very early in his Mercedes career. Very early in his Mercedes career.
So the first thing that pops up to my mind is that they just went to another box, instead of their one. But
you got it. Yes, you got it.
Yeah,
absolutely. And I think
Lewis happened. He went to the McLaren box instead of the Mercedes.
That's right.
And Jenson. Well, Jenson was what year was that?
That was in 2011.
2011. Was it driving the Braun?
No, that was 29. So it would have been.
Okay.
He would have been in McLaren. He would have been in McLaren.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know where he ended up. And but yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember whose pit he drove through, but he did the same thing. He came in for a pit stop, drove into McLaren's box, and he was driving McLaren and went into somebody else's box, and they waved him through. And Simos, I believe, all the way from Japan, has got some video of the two incidents to show us whenever he's ready.
Yeah, it takes a little bit of time to come all the way from Japan.
It does. There's quite a lot of lag.
I know what he's doing. Yeah. Okay. The video started. Okay.
Here we go. I'm not sure which order he's put them in. Here we go.
Jenson.
That's Jenson.
Oh yeah, he went to the Red Bull.
And the driver McLaren went into Red Bull. Oops. And then we're going to see Lewis, who was driving Mercedes, and he went into McLaren's pit.
Yep.
His previous team. Here we go. On board with Lewis. No, get the out there. That was embarrassing.
Yeah. Okay, so before we leave,
you're smart ass of the day for getting that one right.
There you go. So before you leave, I've got a question for you, for anybody else, in the audience which wants to give a reply.
Okay.
But before saying that, a quick update on the well, it's not a raffle, on the draw that we talked about last week.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea is to give away a 3D printed calendar with all the circuits and signed by the three of us to anybody which leaves a message, a comment on the video, not the live ones, on the YouTube videos, and you can leave as many comments as you want. The more you leave, the more tickets basically you get. And but instead of doing that at the end of the season, which is going to be bloody December, which is never come, we're going to make one mid-season, like in June. So in June, we'll make a first draw among all the people which leave a comment on the videos on YouTube. And we'll extract this precious 3D printed 2025 F1 calendar with with signatures from me, Simos, and Lucky. I will be sent to you if we'll have to give some kind of address, regardless. But So that would be the first one. But the question I want to ask you, Simos, from Japan, and everybody else, in the live chat. Suzuka is an 8-shaped circuit, meaning that it crosses, there is a bridge. There is actually another track which has FIA homologation, which is 8-shaped, meaning that it crosses, inside. So it makes like kind of an 8. Do you guys know which one it is? No, it's not Monza. It's not Monza.
Used to be Monza.
It used to be, but it isn't. So
not anymore.
And it's not, and the part which crosses is not homologated right now by the FIA. It is currently as an FIA homologation, and it's 8-shaped. So there is 2 of them. One is Suzuka. Which one is the other one?
It's one of the street circuits, isn't it?
Nope.
No.
Nope.
It's not Silverstone. It's not Canada. It's not Austria. It's not.
Nope. Nope.
Spa. No.
No.
Sam, help me out here, for God's sake. God,
FIA homologation.
It's a current track, being used in the current calendar.
It is a track which is currently used.
Bridge on it. Jesus Christ.
Anybody from the...
Nobody in chat? Yeah, no.
No, I'm looking at the chat, see if anybody, is willing to give it a try.
It's not Imola.
No.
It's near.
I will repeat the question. There are currently 2 FIA homologated circuits which are 8-shaped, and when I say 8, I mean that they cross with the bridge. Basically, at a certain point, the track goes under the other under the track or over, depending which way you want. And there is 2 which are FIA homologated. One is Suzuka, obviously. It's not Silverstone.
Oh my God.
You're going to hate me so much when I tell you. But it's...
God damn it.
FIA homologation. FIA homologation. It is currently used. Not a lot. Well, actually, no, it is used. Well, yeah. Not Singapore. Well, I'll leave another 30 seconds because I can hear Lucky Wolf.
I'm desperately
brain, which is boiling. Yeah, it's grinding.
God, Swiss calendar schedule.
You got to think a little bit out of the box. But everything I said is true. But think a little bit out of the box.
Singapore.
What?
Singapore.
Nope. Babelvis already said Singapore, and it is.
Oh,
yeah.
Singapore.
No. So okay, I will relieve you from your pain. So the first one is Suzuka, and the second one is Fiorano.
Fiorano.
The Fiorano circuit, the test circuit from Ferrari, which is FIA homologated.
All right, I was thinking calendar, the actual race. Okay, but yeah. You fooled us all.
Yeah. There you go.
You fooled us all.
Well, I heard it and say, well, I mean, this is something I got to say. It was so good to not to. Yeah.
I noticed in chat that Faith was talking
Fiorano,
about...
not Furano, Fiorano, Fiorano, which is the Ferrari test track, which is FIA homologated, and it is used because it is used, and yeah, and it's 8 shade.
Okay, as I was about to quickly say, I noticed Faith was talking about Barry Sheen in the comments there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know why it's talking. I mean, the only thing, well, there's some stories about Barry Sheen. Most notably, the one that after his massive crash on the, I think it was in Daytona.
Yeah, on the bank. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he crashed several times, to be fair, right? But that one was particularly bad. They had to put in him so many screws and nails that he was ringing all the metal detectors at the airports and all that shit. So, yeah.
Yeah, I would turn gay for Barry Sheen. Barry Sheen.
What? Sorry?
I would have turned gay for Barry Sheen.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Not judging. Yeah.
Okay. In 1976, Barry Sheen was everybody's darling here in the UK. When he won the championship, he could have walked down the street and shot people and nobody would have cared. That's
okay. Listen.
How much?
It's 10 or 9:58, depending on the time zone.
Mm-hmm.
So we have 120 seconds to finish. Actually, 100, less than that, so that we can keep it under an hour. So I think that we can see each other. Next, what is it? What next race is in Bahrain? And I think is this week
weekend.
Or next week? Okay, this weekend. So we'll see you back on Monday. Hopefully, Simons will be back from Japan. And goodbye. Thank you very much, Lucky. Thank you, everybody in the side chat.
One last thing.
Go fast, really fast.
Really fast. Okay, Lance Stroll's a twat.
Yeah.